has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. Into the second hour of C2C on a Thirsty Thursday. A couple of things. Get the SportsGrid app on iOS or Android in the Play Store. It's free. You heard me. It's incredible, too. For something that's free, you got to think somebody screwed that up. But you can get it free. You can watch the network on there. You can listen to the network on there. There's great stories, videos, highlights, in-game odds, you name it. Follow your favorite hosts like Carver High. You're good to go. With the SportsGrid app, it's smarter to be on SportsGrid. Everybody knows that. By the way, we're streaming on X now 7 days a week. Can you imagine? Just go to SportsGrid-Live and you'll see us streaming on X and you'll be good to go. Also, the Ferrall Coast to Coast and Ferrall on the Bench podcasts are available on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And that's every day, Monday through Friday. Get the show. If you missed the show, watching the show, now you can listen to the show on the podcast and you're good to go there as well. Programming notes, next Tuesday, Christmas Eve, Carver High and I will do the show live. Wednesday, no show. Thursday, I'm doing the show with my boy Blue, Mike Blewett, big Steeler fan. I love him. And then on Friday, Carver High will be back in the saddle on the 27th, I believe, which is the Young Gun's birthday. You'll be doing a Young Gun birthday special with me on December 27th. So that's all the programming notes and sidebars as we finally get a chance to listen to Dirty Harry getting upset with people.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to see on his birthday next Friday if he actually is awake for the show. I guess that will be the thing on the Young Gun's birthday. Will he be awake by showtime at 3 o'clock East? That really is going to be the over-under for next Friday. It's a doubtful. It's just plus money to the under. Brian Callahan, of course, the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. He's having a rough year. They're 3-11, and a reporter asked him yesterday to talk about the notion that his team is, quote, soft. Here we go.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's complete and total bullshit, if you want my honest opinion.
Whoa.
These guys are tough, man. They go after it every day. They play hard as hell, and there's at no point have we ever put on tape at any point this season that this is a soft football team. Like I can't even wrap my mind around how that would even be a conversation. I mean, just because we don't win games doesn't mean we're soft. These guys play their ass off. They play hard. They play physical. You can ask any team that plays against us that when they come off the field, they know they played us. That makes me relatively angry that would be some presumption. That means you just don't watch this. You don't do anything about it. That you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're looking at. So I won't stand for. I'm not going to stand for anybody calling this football team soft. I think that's bullshit. So if there's opinions out there that feel that way, then they don't know anything about NFL football.
Is that right? So I know this. You've won 3 games. You suck. You never win. And if my team's playing your team, I'm licking my chops because you stink. You've done a terrible job, and your days are numbered. That's the reality of it. I don't know anything about NFL football. How does my ass sound to you there, Dirty? I mean, honestly, you suck as a coach. You've done a horrific job. You want to talk tough and be a badass, and what are you going to start punching people at the press conferences? Sounds like it. Well, okay, whatever, dude. Whatever. There's people that are big, I'm big. So whatever. I'm scared to death of you, coach. I got to tell you, I'm shaking in my boots. How will I ever get past the fact that this clown has won 3 games and he's giving people advice about being a good football team? No one listens to you. They're already talking about firing your ass after 1 season. I think we pretty much sum this up right here. Is there anything worse than the tough guy coach that thinks he's about, like Antonio Pierce and this guy? Those two should be lovers. They both suck. Neither one of them can coach in the NFL to save their ass. And you don't know anything about the NFL, neither do you.
You are what your record says you are.
That's it.
You're 3-11. It's just that is what it is. You're 3-11.
3-11. You're soft.
It is what it is at this point. It's also a bad season in Florham Park for the New York Jets as they get ready to take on the Rams this week. They're 4-10. Now I'll ask you first. Did you see this Athletic article this morning that was put out? Did you see any
talk about the video game?
The video game. So there's a lot of really juicy stuff that was in that article this morning. We thought Woody Johnson was a bad owner. I mean, this just makes him just a laughingstock owner. So the Madden rating thing is the one that's getting the most push. That's the story that Joe Douglas had a trade for Jerry Jeudy last offseason, who, of course, ended up going to Cleveland, and that Woody Johnson nixed the trade because he told Joe Douglas that Judy's Madden rating wasn't good enough. He also didn't want to sign John Simpson because of his Madden awareness rating. They did sign Simpson, and he's played pretty well for them this year. Now, why would Woody have any idea about Madden ratings? That's because apparently his teenage sons, Brick and Jack, have direct influence on football decisions. Joe Douglas reportedly told someone, quote, "I report to a teenager," end quote. The infamous meeting at the end of the Bronco game earlier this year in September where Woody wanted to bench Aaron Rodgers was allegedly, quote, a joke to see how people would react. Woody last year preferred that they keep draft pick number 257, which of course is called Mr. Irrelevant, rather than 256. A team called and wanted to trade for the last pick in the draft. Woody said, no, trade him a better pick. I want to keep 257 in case we get a Brock Purdy type situation and have a Mr. Irrelevant that we can sell. I could keep going if you want. The Johnson family walk around the locker room disparaging players. Both him, the wife, and the kids. Woody allegedly told Mike White back in 2022 after they lost to Seattle that Ferrall sucked. And then he had to apologize to him in the locker room after him. Other players have heard the kids, the teenage sons, saying bad things about the players in the locker room after games. Woody ripped down all of Robert Saleh's all gas, no brake signs earlier this season. I mean, this goes on and on and on with the amount of influence that Woody Johnson has. He's the owner. I understand that. But I think we could call him being a little too hands-on as the owner. About the kids telling him that Judy's Madden rating, and they didn't trade for him because his Madden rating is bad. Oh, my goodness.
I mean, I am just absolutely floored at what you just read to me. All of those details are so
Those are just the highlights.
Unbelievable.
Those are just the highlights of the story.
That's craziness. Like, I don't even know. I have no real response other than, you got to be kidding me. Like, I've never heard of anything so damning in my life about an ownership family and the way they talk to players and treat players and their ideas about who's good and who isn't, who should stay, who should go. It's craziness. It really is. And it's truly unbelievable. I don't know what else to say. Like, I never knew he was that much of an idiot. Like, what is happening there?
And you know what it all goes back to? As much as we want to sit here and we bash all these people that have worked for that organization over the last 10, 15, 20 years, whatever it is, it all goes back to that guy at the end of the day. Like, he's obviously he's a problem. Like that. And in fact, in the story, it also said that there was people in the organization that were praying that Trump would give him that job back in the United Kingdom so that he would go away again for 4 years, and that Woody was actually legitimately upset when he didn't get it. And Trump gave it to somebody else for this year. Man, Woody done some job owning the Jets. Just sell the team.
I wouldn't be surprised at all that he was upset about not getting back into the political end of things for Trump. He loved that gig.
Yeah.
So my team didn't win this weekend, but I still did with this app that's taking over the game. Sports Millions Pick'em lets you make quick and easy predictions. Pick your favorite players, go higher or lower, and you can still win big even if your team loses. Plus, the multiplier is insane. With just a few picks, you can win big money. So get on it. They've got a welcome bonus to help you start off your winning streak.
two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circus Sports Million, Circus Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was protected! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
So Big Eyebrow was part of that journalism trio that did that story for The Athletic, right? Mike Silver,
yes,
who worked at Sports Illustrated forever. He's now at The Athletic doing deep dive NFL journalism, writing long form stories. It's unbelievable, that story. And to me, the thing that stands out is the kids and the privilege and the money. They're rich and spoiled, obviously, and probably have never been told no a day in their life. They get whatever they want when your daddy's a billionaire selling tampons. And the deal is that the kids get away with murder. And the fact is, let me tell you something. When I was the Thrashers play-by-play guy, you won't believe this, but it's true. Like, they wouldn't let me in the locker room. Like, I've never heard of such a thing. Like, I used to cover the NHL every day of my life in Pittsburgh and in Chicago. And I have covered the league forever, and I've known Gary Bettman forever. There's not a locker room I haven't been in the NHL after a game, the minute the game ends. But the Thrashers wouldn't let me in the locker room after games, ever. I wasn't allowed in the locker room. I said to the guy, "You won 14 games, you stupid idiot. No one cares what these bums and hacks and nobody say. Who cares if I go in the locker room? You suck." I tell it right to their face. No wonder they fired me. I just told them right to their face what I thought of them. Like, it didn't matter who it was, the GM. I told Don Waddell, "You got some stupid-ass rules." I'd walk on the plane, and I'd say to them all the time, I go, "Why do you make me wear this stupid blazer on this flight for 4 hours?" Like, honestly, dude, you're lucky I don't start pulling out bottles of booze. But why am I wearing this sport coat? "Shut up, Ferrall. Wear the sport coat." I'm like, "You're such a loser, dude." I would say it right to his face. That guy hates me, too. Good. I'm not changing for anybody ever.
No, you're not. Yes, Mike Silver, Diana Rossini, and Zach Rosenblatt, who covers the Jets normally. Three of them combined on that story.
I know who she is. And I'm really, I've known Mike forever. I've been friends with Mike forever. He's been on my show 1,000,000 times. I don't know who the other guy is at all. I don't know her personally. I just know who she is.
Yeah, the guy Zach, he's the Athletics everyday Jet guy. He's their beat reporter. He covers the Jets day in, day out. Obviously, Diana and Mike are more national stories. Yeah, so there's a lot of great stories I didn't even tell you that are in there, so it's pretty good.
I gotta get my hands on that. Can you send it to me?
I'll send you the story in the next break, and you can take a look at it. Speaking of the Jets, like I said, they do play the Rams this week. Here's Aaron Rodgers, who I think is starting to realize that he's not going to have a home after this year, so he has to try to beg to stay with the Jets, even so much that he would help groom a young quarterback if the Jets were to acquire one this year in the offseason. Here's Rodgers.
I think all of us, whether we got a guy behind us itching to play or not, there's, when they drafted Jordan, I felt like I was one bad stretch from being benched, and I, won MVP a couple years. So that's the way the league is. You got to prove it. You can play every single week and through stretches. So if they asked me back and they drafted a guy, I'd mentor the hell out of him if I was playing, and I'd try and play as well as I could to keep him on the bench.
So, I think they have a decision to make that's a very difficult one, because I don't know what they're going to do. If, let's say, they're the 8th draft pick, are they really going to get a good quarterback, a franchise-changing quarterback? They aren't. So I think they actually have a very tough predicament that they're in. And then the other thing is, not that it matters, I'm just saying, everyone's telling me today, Luke and everybody else, that I'm on this Aaron Rodgers Netflix special or something. I guess they got a clip of us on SportsGrid on that I don't know what it is, a doc on him, like it's some kind of special on him eating mushrooms and stuff. Like, what is it?
I guess it's the story of him after he got hurt last year, the behind the scenes of his rehab and coming back to play and all of that stuff.
I guess a bunch of people at the gym today said to me that they saw me on it or heard me on it or something like this. I was like, yeah. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, because, I'm not a fan. So getting me to watch that now, I guess, my own narcissism, I'll probably watch it now to see the clip. But at least I admit it. Like, who wouldn't watch if you're on it? Like, I was on all those top 10s for like 15 years on the NFL Network. I never really watched it, but I would see it like in airports and stuff, and I'd look up and I'd be like, oh, Jesus, because all I ever did on that network was embarrass myself, and I was good at it. I was funny on that show. They screwed that show up. COVID ended that great show. The top 10 shows were awesome on NFL Network. I don't know why they didn't go back to them. Soft-ass decision-making upstairs, obviously, at the NFL Network.
Especially since it's been so long since they've done them. They have so much more. They can actually almost, at this point, because it's been so long, They can redo all the ones they've done with all the stuff that's happened in the last 10 years. The Rams have a long trip to MetLife on Sunday, of course. They'll play the early kick at MetLife against the Jets. -3 for the Rams. 46.5 is the total in this game.
Yeah, I won't even think twice. This is Rams all day for me. I think the Jets have been playing better. Obviously, I thought last week that was a big win for them. But this Rams team is on fire. They've won 7 of 9, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They look fantastic. Yeah. I think they'll handle the Jets easily.
And they're now first in the NFC West, right? You don't want to give up that stature by losing to the Jets.
No.
So I will tell you, I think that game's an under, too. I think 46.5 is a little heavy. It's going to be very cold at MetLife on Sunday for those two teams. You got kind of an indoor West Coast team going out to play the Jets.
Here, right?
It's going to be very cold in the Northeast on Sunday for Pain Day.
Whatever,
all right, we've got the cold air. We will come back, and I'll give you Nick Sirianni talking about the Eagles and the Commanders, Todd Bowles, Bucks, and the Cowboys. That's the Sunday night game this week. I have a few other things we'll probably get to as well as we move along here for the NFL this week number 16.
You're going to give me a little Sean McDermott today with the hot Bills. The Bills are so hot, the snow is melting in upstate New York.
I hope they drop 50 on the Patriots on Sunday. I hope they put a 50 burger on them this week. Keep piling it on.
55-10.
Oh, please. That would be great. Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill, then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
That I'm not a fan of. Nick Sirianni is one of them. I'm about fed up with this guy too, with his act. You see him again on Sunday. They're winning by 2 touchdowns, and he's arguing with assistant coaches, fighting with people on the sideline. He's fought with fans. He's fought with the media. He fights with his own coaching staff. Like, this dude's nuts.
He is nuts. I guess he was trying to get to, who was it last week? Jalen Carter, right? He was trying to get to him on the bench, and the coaches stopped him from going over to talk to him. Right. He is crazy. He's all business this week, though. The Eagles can clinch the NFC East, but don't tell Nick that. He's not talking about that right now, not until it actually happens.
No, I know we're pretty boring. We're getting ready to go play this game. We know that if we do win this game, that will happen. But really, all we can focus on is our preparation. We haven't really talked about that. We'll talk about that after. When we're able to put the hat on or the T-shirt on there. So that's when we'll talk about that.
Oh, all business.
Yeah, and now all of a sudden he's all sophisticated and tight-lipped. Anyway, look, I saw him kick my team's ass. It sucked. And they're better than Washington. I'm telling you, they are, to me, with that defense and their running game and that tush-push and their offensive line and their health, they're the best team in the NFC. They are. And I am telling you, you can say all you want about the Vikings and the Lions and all this other stuff. That team right there is dangerous. They're dangerous. It's amazing, too, because remember they had won 10 straight or 10 games. They were like 10-1 when they collapsed last year, right? And lost 5 of their last 6, whatever it was. And they missed the playoffs, and everybody freaked out and lost their minds. But how about the way they turned it around immediately this year? They just came right out and started kicking everyone's ass.
It's precisely what they did. 10 in a row. The Eagles have now won. I agree with you. I think they're the best team right now, and I think they're going to win their last 3 games. And all it's going to take is one slip up from Detroit, and they'll be having to go to Philadelphia in late January for the NFC title game, which is not going to be a fun place for them to go. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites in Washington at the Dump this weekend. 45.5 is the total.
I think they're going to win that game, but I want the Commanders to cover the number. I want it to be a great game. They win by a field goal. That's it. And you win by the hook. That's what I'm looking at.
That's what I'm looking at as well. I think that Washington will be in the game, but the Eagles are going to win it. The Bucs, of course, have taken control of the NFC South. They have now gotten themselves back to 8-6. They're a game up on the Falcons. They're going to Dallas on Sunday night for a primetime game. Here is Todd Bowles. The team hears everybody talking that they're the best, that they're on the rise. They can compete with anyone in the NFC. He says they are not going to listen to that noise.
We didn't listen when we were losing. We're not listening now that we're winning. So that's not going to be a big deal. And we have enough sarcastic coaches and sarcastic players to insult people to keep everybody grounded so that we're all ready to work. So that's not a problem at all. We get shots in all the time.
Listen, I don't believe for a minute that teams in the NFL can avoid noise or the media or the TV or the radio or the social media or the fans or anything else. I don't believe for a minute they can avoid any of it ever. The NFL circle is so enormous. The reach of their news is so enormous. It's unavoidable. I don't believe a word he just said. I do believe this, though, that they don't care what people say because they go out with Evans and Baker Mayfield and win games. That's it. In my view, that's why they win. You know, you can talk about their defense, their coaching, all you want. Baker Mayfield to Evans is unstoppable right now in the NFL, and they're going to go for their fifth straight win. They're going to win. The Cowboys suck. Baker Mayfield's going to put on a show. Mike Evans is going to go for $1.50, $1.70. Count on it. He's about 250 away from another 1,000-yard season. The guy's going to Canton. They're already fitting him for a blazer. I mean, they cannot stop this duo. That's just all there is to it. And I'm telling you, you played them in the playoffs, you're losing.
They could be dangerous. They could be tricky for some of these teams. That's for sure. -3.5, they're favored on the road Sunday night. 48.5 is the total. I know the Cowboys have been all right. I'm on the Bucs.
Oh my God, the Bucs are going to step on their necks. They're honestly,
Bucs.
You know what they're going to do? This is another situation. There's a potential for, I believe, that the team to sleep with the entire Cowboy cheerleading staff.
Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys, I tell you, I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out and just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill, then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
like second half kickoff here, Carver High, as we're rolling along on a Thursday. There's so much going on. We've been talking about all of these teams and all of these games, and it's just so much pressure we're under as we continue on. Now, I want to hear from your boy Sean McDermott, because the Bills have 3 easy picking games lined up here to finish the season. They just need to do their thing. They're going to kill all 3 and get dubs.
You would like to think so. They're 11-3 right now. They're coming off a very tough stretch. You know, they played Kansas City, the Niners, the Rams, the Lions, all over the last few weeks. Well, now it settles down. They'll have the Patriots, Jets, and then the Patriots again to finish out. They're 11-3, chance to finish 14-3. Sean McDermott says, I know the records are different on the teams that we're about to play, but the focus has to remain the same. We got to take care of business.
Yeah, well, I think, you learn from the past. Certainly that's number one. And two is, I think a winner's mindset, really a champion's mindset, has a certain degree of discipline that goes along with it when they know what they're after. And so that's the type of discipline we have to have moving forward every week. Every week it's a new challenge. And we certainly have a ton of respect for this football team. They've played really good football, especially since the quarterback has taken over. So we have a ton of respect for them. And, most importantly, our mindset has to be right.
Just stop.
They're 3-11, Sean. I mean, come on.
They're awful. I'd say thank God we're playing them twice.
They're 3-11, man. I remember there was a time I thought I was going to sweat that under 4.5 for the Patriots when they won the first week against the Bengals, and now we're sitting here. They only need they can win one more if they want, but hopefully they won't. They play the Bills twice, so they're not going to win any more games. Under 4.5 going to be a good winner this year. The under for the Patriots. We'll take that one to the window. Cash that one at this point. We would like to say this is 14.5. And it's at 425 on Sunday. 46.5 is the total. I don't want them messing around here. I don't want any nonsense. I want them to go for the throat, go and get that record, the 9 games in a row, 30-plus points, and absolutely smash this team. I want it to mean just completely rub their face in it like they've done to the Patriots a couple times the last few years. Drop 45, 50 points on them, too, like you did to the Rams and Lions the last few weeks.
No mercy. Sweep the leg.
That's it.
That's it.
No mercy. Sweep the leg. Can't have it. Cannot have it for that. Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield were named the offensive players of the week, by the way. Allen's won like 4 times this year, I think, at this point, the offensive player of the week in the AFC. He's having a monster year. I told you earlier, Mahomes is off the injury report. He's going to play on Saturday against the Houston Texans. The Chiefs are also going to activate Hollywood Brown for Saturday's game. And Reed said we'll see how much time he gets, but he does expect him to be out there. Of course, Brown has not played all year. He has been out, so this will be his first action.
He's peanut brittle, that
Chiefs.
guy. You got to be kidding me. He is like that guy. You know what? I mean, honestly, I'd rather have Teddy Bridgewater back.
Teddy,
Hollywood
just coach
Brown.
the high school team,
Hollywood
please.
Brown. They should call him Skid Row. Hollywood, my ass.
This has now gone every day. We've had a different number for the Chiefs and Texans here on Coast to Coast as we've been looking at it. It's gone past 3 now, 3.5 for Kansas City. Now that Mahomes is pretty much officially in, 41.5 still the total. As I told you, he's going to show up and win. So
they just never cover. So I feel like the 3.5's live. I think Houston covers the number and the Chiefs win another 2-point game. That's all they ever do. 1 or 2 points. That's it. They just want to win. That's it. They want to win and do commercials. That's all they do.
I still think he'll be one of those. You're probably right. And I don't think Mahomes will do much. I bet that they'll hand the ball to Pacheco like 40 times and just let it. And they'll still win, 14, 10, 13, whatever it is. They'll probably right on that number, like you said, of 3.5 for that game. The Monday night game this week is actually the Saints and the Packers in Lambeau, which is a tough scene for the Saints, as we know they're playing out the string. And it just got a little tougher Alvin Kamara's groin injury that he suffered last Sunday is now worse than they originally thought, and he may be done for the season. They're going to start Spencer Rattler on Sunday night in Lambeau against the Packers. I saw that number cross 14 too and get to 14.5 this afternoon.
Is that what it is? 14.5. The Packers are laying
14.5. Packers are laying 14.5 on Monday night at home against the Saints and Spencer Rattler.
I think Spencer Rattler will cover the number.
Wow. How about that? A little
I'll take 14 and a hook in that game. I don't care if he's playing or not. Give me 14 and a hook. That game is so easy for the Packers. They're not even going to try, and they're going to get sucked into a game because, they think this is a walk in the park. This one's just too easy. So there's nothing too easy in the NFL ever. Spencer Rattler doesn't throw the ball bad. He's not that bad. The team sucks.
It kind of happened to Washington against the Saints last Sunday, right? I mean, they were, I know there was some shadiness with the clock at the end of that game, but still, they had a 2-point conversion to win the game.
Slim Shady.
Yes, Slim Shady. The Saints did sign Clyde Edwards-Helaire, as it looks like Kamara's not going to go. He was cut by the Chiefs. They are, at this point, they're going to need him. The Saints, all
he'll
hands
have a
on
big
deck.
game, and then he'll get traded back to the Chiefs.
If you can play, show up down in New Orleans. They need bodies, that's for sure. And Kyle Shanahan said yesterday the 49ers are close to shutting down Trent Williams for the season. Well, what are you waiting for? Your season's over anyway. Shut him down now.
How about this?
What are you waiting
for? Remember the guy held out and held in, whatever you want to call it, and wouldn't play because he's the best tackle in the NFL, and he wants all his money. And then how many games did he play in this year? 5? He is so. I mean, they pay that guy more money than God, and he never plays. You know why? Because he's such a fat ass. Why do you think he's injured all the time? Because he weighs 350 pounds, for Christ's sakes. The guy can't even walk. His legs rub together like an elephant. I mean it. Like, look at him. He's so out of shape. You wonder why he's injured? Take a look at him. He's the size of a BPI garbage truck. I'm not wrong. He never plays.
He's supposed to be. He's a offensive lineman.
But he's supposed to be svelte and athletic and the best tackle in football. The guy can't even walk, let alone run or move or pull. I mean, come on.
He's a hog molly. He's one of the hog mollies.
Problems. I want them to have more problems than anyone. Their injuries are my enjoyment. I hate the 49ers and their cheese-eating fans. Their Pinot Grigio sipping fans. You can take Trent Williams, take him to the picnic and let him eat the whole goddamn meal. Let him eat everyone's dinner.
I guess that means you're on the Dolphins. You're on the Dolphins Sunday against the Niners. Dolphins -1.5 against the Niners on Sunday. You're on the Dolphins then, I guess.
Where's the game?
Game's in Miami. Game's in Miami. Dolphins
Miami Gardens
-1.
is lovely. Pick up some butter on the way to the game right in the hood. You might not even make it into the stadium. Be in your car smoking that glass. Look at your boy, the Dolphins, Tua, getting involved. They'll beat the Niners on Sunday. How about them apples?
Let's go. I can see that as well. The Niners are finished. They got nothing left. All right, there you go. NFL. You'll have more NFL later with Adam Kaplan, of course, on his birthday in the final hour. You'll do more NFL with him. We will come back. I got lots of bowl action for you. I'll let you know what happened last night. We have a bowl game tonight. I actually even am going to give you, there's bowl action tomorrow afternoon.
What?
Before the Notre Dame-Indiana game. There's a game at noon.
Liar.
There's a game at 3 o'clock tomorrow.
Liar.
So I have to give you the numbers for those. And then I'll give you some other information, too. I got a lot of NBA tonight also that we have to get across. Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket. I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are one-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill, then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Carver High is getting into the.
There's nothing. All these great matchups like James Madison and Western Kentucky, and UNLV and Cal, Georgia Southern and Sam Houston State. I mean, you can't get better than this. I can't get to Notre Dame, Indiana fast enough tomorrow night. That's for sure after watching some of these games. James Madison did beat Western Kentucky 27-17. That was the first bowl win for that program. Of course, they've been in the top level for the last 3 years, finally get themselves a bowl win. UNLV beat Cal 24-13 as UNLV took over in the second half out in L.A.
Did you see that
and Cal
they
did
ran?
nothing.
That was beautiful.
That was a hell of a play call. That fake punt. That was a tremendous
That may have been
play
the best
call.
fake punt I've ever seen in my life.
It was nicely done by UNLV last night. That fake punt that they had against Cal. Only
11
one
wins
bowl game
for UNLV, Mike, first time
That's
ever. And I mean,
And-
that's insane. They had a great season. Their coach was gone, Odom. They still win 11 games. And that is just crazy. Congrats to them, the Rebels. They've sucked since I was in my mother's womb.
And look, I think they'll still be good. Dan Mullen's a good coach. This is a guy who coached teams in the SEC. He was a great coach in the SEC. I know they ran him out of Florida because 10 wins wasn't good enough. 9-10 wins every year wasn't enough, so they ran him out, and I don't think he's won 10 games since. But he'll be good. I saw him out there on the field last night. He was taking pictures with everybody. Dan Mullen will be a good hire out in Vegas for UNLV. Tonight, only one game. The New Orleans Bowl down on Bourbon Street at the Dome, where Georgia Southern will take on Sam Houston State. Now, let me give you the laundry list, as I like to do for these bowl games. Let me tell you what's going on. Well, here's Sam Houston's problem. Their head coach left for the job at Temple. That's right. Casey Keeler left to go coach Temple. So the offensive coordinator is going to be the interim coach. Defensive coordinator was hired for the same position, but he'll be bring a number of assistants with him. He's going to stay. Now, there's, I believe, 20 to 25 players on the transfer portal list for Sam Houston State. But there are reports that a lot of them are going to play, even though they're in the portal. As far as Georgia Southern goes, they only
How is that
have...
possible? How is that possible that you can say, I'm leaving, I'm out of here, I'm gone, I'm in the portal, but you can still play in a bowl game?
Yeah, there's some pride here. It's the first bowl game, I guess, ever for Sam Houston. The players would like to bring that home. We shall see how that goes. Georgia Southern is pretty clean. They're only missing one of their best defenders, and then everyone else is there. Clay Helton, of course, is the coach at Georgia Southern. And the numbers for you as of this moment. Here we go. Georgia Southern, for right now, I know this has moved around, 3.5. I've seen it up to 4 in some spots. 3.5, 4 with
I'm on 3.5.
With the total up to 48.5 now in this game. I love the under tonight in this game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of scoring.
Me too. Give me Georgia Southern minus the 3.5 and the under. I'm with you.
Now, tomorrow, I know that we're going to be pumped for Notre Dame and Indiana, but there's 2 games in the afternoon, bowl games for us. The first one's at noon East in Orlando, the Cure Bowl, where the Bobcats of Ohio taking on Jacksonville State. Now, of course, both schools' coaches left. Rich Rod went and took the job back at Western Michigan, so he's going to be there for Jacksonville State. And Tim Albine left Ohio to take the job at Charlotte. So both teams without their head coach. Ohio is the only team without any players in the transfer portal. They have their entire team from this year. Jacksonville State's got about 10 to 15 players in the transfer portal. Ohio's minus 4.5, and the total's 56.5.
All right, a couple things here. One, I still thought Frank Solich was the coach. 2, they've won 6 in a row. They're going to spank that ass tonight. The entire team playing. I'm on Ohio. The Bobcats lay it. And I still think Frank Solich is the head coach, even though the guy that coaches them just left for another job. It's still Frank Solich's team.
It's still his team. I like the under in that game, too. I don't think there'll be points with Jackson. I know Jacksonville State scored a lot. Rich Rod's not there. I will, and a lot of players gone. I'm going to take the under in that game. And then while we're on tomorrow, this is a 3:30 East kick in Tampa at the Pirate Ship.
What?
The Gasparilla Bowl.
Come on.
Which will have Tulane and Florida taking each other on. Now, here we go. Are you ready for all of it? Tulane lost their starting quarterback, Darian Mensah, who's a really good player. He went to Duke in the portal already. And both backups are in the portal, too. Tulane will be on their 4th quarterback in this game against Florida. They have a couple guys who start on defense who aren't going to be there either. So lots of guys are going to be missing for Tulane, which is why they're getting 10.5. Now, Florida's got a lot of injuries and a lot of guys in the portal. But as I said to Joey Prawns last night on the radio, we were talking about this game a little bit. I feel like even the 2nd and 3rd string players at Florida would start at Tulane. So if I'm got 2nd and 3rd stringers on Florida playing 2nd, 3rd, and 4th stringers on Tulane, I'll take Florida minus the 10.5.
There's no way that Joey Prawns is not on Florida. Everyone's on Florida here. They played great for Billy Napier from the midway point of the season when they were going to fire him to he's not going anywhere, and they won some games, some big games. I thought they turned their season around magnificently, and I think they're going to kick Tulane's ass.
He's on Tulane, Joey Prawns, in that game.
Well, then that's going to be a long night for him.
It's emotional. It's because he don't like Florida and he don't like Billy Napier. That's the only reason why he's just going after them.
Feeling stuff.
And Joey Prawns is with you tomorrow to go through the college football playoff game. So you can give him by that time he comes on, it'll probably be Florida will be up 20 at the half of that game against Tulane. So you can give him the business.
Go for the 2. It's here on
Go for the 2.
Friday. Come on,
hey, it's college football playoff Friday on C2C. I mean, you got to get him in the mix.
Have something to look forward to now.
You
Joey Prawns.
You do have something to look on. Joey Prawns.
We'll see if he got some action at that Christmas party with that chick.
Oh! Uncle Stevie can just walk up the aisle like he's at the supermarket I'll get a starting pitcher here, I'll get a closer here, I'll get a first baseman here, and he'll just keep throwing things in the cart because there is no limit.
Now he's gone, so they got to go get arms to make that team better. Because the bottom line was they were just outclassed by the Dodgers. Let's face it, they got their ass beat.
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I want the mid-major teams. I want the A-10 to get 3 bids. I want, the Missouri Valley Conference to get an extra bid. I want these teams to go ahead that are 1-bid leagues and give some of these other teams opportunities to make the NCAA tournament. Simply put, folks, when we get to the tournament, we don't care about all these teams that are big-time teams.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill. Then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
We got it all going here. The college football playoff makes us horny, baby. I mean, literally,
It does.
I am horny, baby.
You should be. Now, tomorrow on a Friday, we will go through all 4 games in depth one more time and get you ready for the weekend. I thought just today I would just give you this, which is the odds to win the whole thing as we get going. And Oregon is the favorite, Texas, Georgia, Ohio State. So Ohio State's the only team of those 4 chalk favorites that are playing this weekend, and they have to get – Texas is as well, excuse me. There's the rest of the list right on down. So Penn State, Notre Dame, Tennessee. So you look at the gap between the top 6 and the bottom 6, right? Those bottom 6 teams are all 25-1 or longer.
Look, I think that Oregon and Texas – now, I don't know how exactly, without looking at it, it squares up in terms of – where they would meet, when they would meet in the semis or the final, but I think those 2 teams are dangerous. I'm not buying Georgia with no quarterback. No way. And Ohio State, I think their season has been bizarre, a little bit jinxed, like the end of the Oregon game, the Michigan game. They've had some bad luck. I don't think they're winning it either. I'm going to put Penn State and Notre Dame ahead of both of them into the mix with Oregon and Texas. I have no idea who's going to win it all, but if I had to today, the team that no one can stop for my money is Oregon. No one can stop.
Yeah, the interesting part is those top 4 favorites that they had there, those 4 teams at the top, 3 of them are on the same side of the bracket. Oregon, Texas, and Ohio State are all – only one of them can make the final. Only one can play for the championship. They're all on the same side. And Georgia – is on the other side, and you just said their quarterback is going to be a problem. That sounds to me like maybe we have some opportunity. I think Oregon's going to win. Personally, I think Oregon's going to win. I think Oregon's the best team.
Did Oregon
I really
play
do.
Notre Dame or Penn State in the final? Because that was a great game with Penn State. Honestly, I'd have no problem if that was the championship again. And, and Franklin could figure out a way to make up that tutty. Their quarterback threw 2 picks, and I think Notre Dame, for my money, is better than Penn State.
Well, remember me and you talked for a few weeks leading up to this how great it would be if Penn State and Notre Dame played in the first round, like either in South Bend or in Happy Valley. Maybe we'll get Notre Dame Penn State in the semis with a chance to go to the championship game. That could be down the road for us.
Now, but that game would be in in the semis. You're talking about being in like the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl.
Yes,
and all that, right?
That's wherever the semis are, which one they're lined up with would be. That's after this weekend. It's all neutral field after this weekend. These are the only home games are the ones you're going to have this week. So tomorrow we'll dive in a lot more. You sent me this story, this Netflix thing, and I was looking at it yesterday. So Netflix is going to have one of these, and they do a great job. With the golf, that was great. The quarterbacks, the NBA, they do great with this stuff. They're going to do one on the SEC next year, following the league and all their great teams. Here's a problem, though. All the best teams said no. Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, Oklahoma, all the best coaches and the best personalities said no. I would want to see Lane Kiffin on that. I would want to see Kirby Smart in Georgia on that. Yeah. And they all are out of it. So, no thanks.
DeBoer, I think they should cancel those plans because if all of them are going to strong-arm the Netflix doc, then they should strong-arm them back and say, screw it, we're not doing it. We'll do it on the Big Ten instead.
What are we're going to turn that on every week to see what's going on? And, I mean, no offense to these teams, but we're going to go follow, Mark Stoops around at Kentucky? Or Billy Napier at Florida? Like, I need to see the heavy guys. You got to have DeBoer, Kirby, Lane Kiffin, and Sarkisian on that show. You can't not have their best guys. It's stupid. It really is. What a bad job by them. Speaking of Alabama, their athletic director, Greg Byrne, did you see him basically going on social media and begging for NIL money? He put a link up. We could use your help. Everyone's catching up to us. We need, here's the collective. Alabama in the poorhouse with the NIL. It's like the Santas outside the supermarket ringing the bell, like they're looking for money to help keep their players. Mighty Alabama. Gotta be kidding me.
What? I did that once. My dad made me ring the bell outside of a Kmart. It was the longest day of my life.
Last thing. Deion says he's going to coach at Colorado forever. Forever he's going to coach at Colorado. And Washington State quarterback John Mateer, who's a very good player, is going to go to Oklahoma and play for the Sooners
next year. Well, they could use him as bad as they stuck this year.
Yes, they could.
I'm actually not even on a side today.
Yeah.
And I'll get to that. Why are you on Texas?
I gave them a chance. Maybe not me as the overwhelming authority in college football, but entering that game on this set to you guys, I said there was one elite defense entering the matchup in Austin back to end out October. It's not the Bulldogs like it used to be. It is Texas.
College football today, only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NFL and college, they don't operate on the same timelines, right? UNLV's head coach just got, the Purdue job this morning, where I imagine, right, UNC probably needs to know from Bill.
And let's say it's late December, and we see 7, 8 teams open, and none of them want Bill, then Bill's got to make a decision. Does he want to be a college head coach?
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you've got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.